it's your girl Nefarious, and I am super excited about this one. This is my sew-along called the Autumn. It's named after my little girl, Autumn. She is only 3, but she's acting like a teenager right now, so this bag is perfect for her. This is Autumn. It is a traditional barrel bag. There will be an Autumn 2.0 for future rounds, so be on the lookout for there will be 2 Autumn videos coming. So there's this one and 2.0. This has 4 awesome 1.5-inch D-rings. It's got the connectors that I show you a couple different ways on how to attach. I've got these awesome, really nice, strong, sturdy handles. Again, as you can see, my custom bloody zipper tape, because I'm Nefarious, it's got to be bloody. This is going to be so cool because I've got all the stock panels. I've already seen the first custom run. It's going to be super, it's just awesome. Okay, guys, it's just cool. I will show you an example of what this looks like. Look at this. So this was made using the K&A Star Wars embossed with their red zipper tape, their zipper pulls. It came out really good. This bag measures about 11 inches. It's about 6 inches wide, 6 inches tall, because it's a circle. Handles are about 12 inches, if I remember correctly. So I'm excited to get started. So come on and come sew with me. All right, for the Autumn bag, these are the general tools we're going to need. You're going to need a ruler, your preference of ruler. On this bag, I did tend to use the 6x8 by Mormino a little bit more often. I also like to use a marking tool. I would recommend having a turning tool, maybe having your awl readily available. You do need to have a X-Acto knife or a cutting device that's relatively sharp. This is a bound bag, which you can also make it birthing, but I prefer to make it bound, so in this video it will be bound. Clips, but I also like to use the stapler because it is an all-around bag on the ends. Double-sided tape, I have various sizes. I've got 1/8, 1/4 inch, and 1/2 inch, and then of course my handheld hole punch. If things get a little too dicey and too thick, I do have my automatic tabletop hole puncher if I need it, and then to set any kind of rivet, I have my cam press. As far as hardware goes, you're going to need about 13 inches, 12 to 13 inches of zipper tape. You'll need 4 1.5-inch O-rings. You need 2 zipper pulls and 12 sets of rivets. For body pieces, you are going to have 2 main panels and 2 main panel linings. You are going to have 2 exterior round circles and 2 interior lining circles. You are going to have 4 D-rings, and then you will have 2 the D-ring and the handle connectors will be in the exterior material. We're just going to jump right into it. We're going to get our D-rings and we are going to flip them to the back. And what we are going to do is we are going to draw a line right down the center here. I'm going to do that for all 4 of these. Okay. Then I'll use the 1/4 inch tape today. And I'm going to put this on the edges of all of these pieces. Then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to get your two handle pieces. You're going to flip those over. And then you're going to draw a line down its middle. I will use a little bit bigger tape. I'll go put it down the middle here. Alright, and you're going to fold this toward the center. I'll use a clip to help hold that in place. If you have an exterior sew-on label that you would want to put on, this is the side I would put it. If you have an exterior sew-on label, I would recommend putting it on one of the side circles. And I would go ahead and do that now. Just find the center, 4 points on the circle. So if you have an exterior sew-on label and you want to use one of those, I would recommend doing that now before you do anything else. You would need to find your 4 cardinal points on your circle by just folding the circle in half, clip, snip, snip, and then meeting those centers up, and then doing the snip, snip, and then placing your sew-on label right there in the center, and then going ahead and stitching that on. However you see fit. I today will be doing a sew-in label, so I don't need to do that. What instead I will be doing is I will be attaching my lining to my exterior like this, and I'm just going to clip in place, making sure I line everything up as well as able to. Set that one to the side. And then I'll do it again for the second set. Main panel, and we are going to flip it over. And on the back side, you are going to measure down 3.5 inches on both sides. And then you're going to measure in 3.5 inches. And from that 3.5 inch mark, you're going to draw a line from that 3.5 mark back down to the 2.5 inch mark. Just one solid line. So the tip of this line should be 2.5 inches away from this edge, and the end of it should be 3.5 inches from the edge. And I'm going to do it on both sides of this panel, and then both sides of this panel. So again, 3.5 inches down, 3.5 inches in. It's where I start, and then I will take it back to 2.5 inches. So you will draw 4 lines. Once you draw those 4 lines, you're going to take that X-Acto knife and you're just going to cut that line out. 1, and just cut that line. Don't cut anything else. All right, once you're here, you can set those to the side. And now we're going to go to the sewing machine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to base stitch at a 1/4 inch all the way around. And I'm going to do that for all 4 pieces. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the handles. I'm going to start with an 1/8 inch, and then I will move into a 3/8. And then I will do the same thing for both handles. I will go all the way down. I'm going to go across the bottom and then come all the way back up for both stitches. Also, I am pulling my threads long. Now we are going to top base stitch our side panels together. Again. All right, so for this next part, you need your main bodies that's already got the splits made in it, okay? You need to have your O-rings, you need to have your D-rings, a measuring ruler, doesn't matter size, and a marking device, all right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and try to do a couple steps all at once. So I'm going to, so we can just stay at one place and then stay at the other place instead of having to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and just make it easier for you. So what we want to do is with the seam, with this side up, we're going to slide this into our slits that we have made, just like this. And you're going to slide it about 1 inch down, just like this. Or maybe a little, there you go. So you're going to slide it down, and it's going to be about 1.25 inches to 1.5 inches down. I'm going to go 1.25 inches. There we go. Once we do that, about 1/8 inch up, you are going to sew between the 2 lines that you made. So see if you can see that. I drew a line. You're going to sew between these 2 stitches. back and forth, back stitching, back and forth, so we can secure it down. And we're going to do that for all 4. So starting with the first one, I am just going to line my needle up on that back thread, and I'm going to sew it, back stitch, and then move on to my next one. I'll clean it up in a minute. Do it again. Snip my threads. Great. Okay. Now what we want to do is you're going to take your O-rings, you're going to slide it through, and then you're going to lace the finger right down. And then you're going to line these up. So it'll look like this. And I'm going to do that for all 4 of them. Alright, so this next part is entirely based on preference. You can absolutely stitch a line from here to here, which is, I would say, also about, I would probably go about 1/4 inch down and just stitch back and forth like you do on the inside, because then you're going to place a rivet about 1/2 inch down from that. Or you can do a 3/4 inch square all the way around the base. So what I like to do is I would center this up, and then I would draw my line, which is about 1/8 of an inch down. 1/8 of an inch down, centered, and then I'm going to draw 3/4 inch. So this is an inch across, so 75 from here to here is 75 inch. Then I'm going to draw the rest of it as a 3/4 inch, 3/4 inch, and then just close it off. So that is an option that you can do. So about 1/8 of an inch down, and then 3/4 of an inch, and that way you are securing the tails in the back, and then you would put a rivet right in the middle of that. That's one option. Another option is going at 1/8 of an inch down and doing a 3/4 of an inch stitch with a rivet underneath that. So there's 2 different kinds of options, totally based off what you are comfortable with doing. If I like to use usually a nice pretty variegated thread, and I think it pops out really nicely when you do the square. Or if you don't want to have that square, which is fine, you can just do. So I'm going to do both on both sides, just so you can see what those look like. and then down. Okay, cut these threads. Whoops. Try that again. Not that one. There it is. And I'll run over here and do option 2. I think both look nice. Pull that out a little bit. And I'm just going to back stitch and go for it again. So then when you put your holes in, where you marked it, it'll look really nice. I might use my big one. So we can thank you. That one. All right, unroll, please. Thank you. Then when you drop your rivets in, there's one, there's two. Going to set it. Alright, so this has the 3/4 inch square with a rivet in the middle. That's not going anywhere. And then this has the line, which is about 1/4 inch down, which is secured, and then a rivet in the middle of that. So either one of those options are viable and look really nice and classy. So for the other side, I'm going to go ahead and do this so we can speed this up. Alright, so we're already cutting down our pieces here. You need your main body, and you need your 2 main body pieces that we've got our rings to. As you can see, I've got our rivets all set, ready to go. What we're going to do now is find our centers on the top. You could find them on the bottom, but that's not really going to matter in a minute. At the bottom. Now this is where I am going to actually do this because I'm going to cheat. You're going to draw a 1/2 inch seam allowance on the bottom. All right, and you're going to clip the bottom together. All right, put that to the side. And then we are going to do the same exact thing. I'll do one side here. 1/2 inch seam allowance. Set that to the side. And then I'm going to clip these together. Alright, and then I'm going to go to the machine and I'm going to stitch down the seam allowance for both of these. So let's go do that. Alright, so we are going to go ahead and trim our bags. Alright, get these clips out of our way. Now, the next thing we want to do is we're going to want to open this all the way up. And then we are going to top stitch this down like so. Alright, so at this point we want to make sure that we do have our centers marked on the main panel exterior and the exterior lining. Then we want to make sure that on our zipper that we also have the centers marked. Okay. Now, what we're going to do after that is I am going to use 1/8 inch double-sided tape. You can use just clips if you so decide. Also, please note that I do not have the zipper pulls on yet. I'm making sure that I don't cause the zipper tape to warp or pull to one side. Now, I'm going to pull the exterior off, maybe. Pull the tape off here. Yes! And then I'm going to line the center mark up with the center point on my lining. Like this. There's one. And then go to the other side. And there is two. Alright, and now I'm going to pull the top tape off. And line it up with the center. Pressing it.
Is my buddy coming anywhere? Buddy, come back to the...
We're going to line up the exterior center up and go for both sides. Alright. Now we're going to sew this down at a 1/4 inch stitch, and then after that sew, we'll flip this out and then top stitch it. So let's go on to the machine and get that done. I am going to backstitch at the beginning and the end, just so it is getting secure. Alright, pull that out. I'm going to cut my strings. After that, I'm going to flip this out, oops, and then I'm going to top stitch it. So I'm going to pull this nice and taut, lining up all my corners here. Because this is very important, you make sure everything lines up nice and pretty. Otherwise you could have puckers when you do your circles. And then I'm going to top stitch at 1/8 of an inch. That's not good. Alright, after that, I'm going to rotate you just a little bit. I'm going to line up the exterior to this side. So I'm going to pull that off. Okay, and then on the other side, make sure zipper tape lines up with the edge. Okay, no, I missed a string, so let's go ahead and cut that off. Line that up with that side. I'm going to sew this down at a 1/4 inch stitch. Alright, so we got to top stitch this. So there's a couple ways we can do this. So we can completely flip this out, or we can pick a side on the zipper. This is my secret. Alright, I'll show you my secret. And I check my zipper teeth, and I'm just going to pull it apart. Still going to have to flip it out, but this will make it a little easier. Because we're also going to have to base the sides and everything down. Alright, now what this lets me do is I can line up my centers with my seams here. Line this center up with this seam here. Alright, and then I can press this down nice and pretty. Making sure I'm lining my edges up. When we flip this out, you can just give it a nice, really nice press. Holding our edges in place. I think this might be the most intimidating part of the whole bag, honestly. I am going to you know what, we'll just do it this way. It takes a little bit longer, but we'll do it this way. It makes the people feel better. I'm going to base this, or I'm going to top stitch this. Okay, I'm gonna lift that up. Try And then I'm going to go over here, and then I'm going to baste this side down. This is what I meant it took a little bit longer. I was thinking about going ahead and basting the other side, but I went ahead and top stitch. Okay, I'm going to trim all my threads. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put our zippers on. This is a double zipper bag, so we're going to line up our zipper teeth and slide our zippers on. Now there could be Alright, once we get our zippers on, I will go ahead and baste it shut. Just because I'm not dealing with it. Okay. That way if I need to pull it open for any reason, they're fine. So now we're going on to the next part. So the next thing that you need are your 2 circle sides. On one of them, make sure you find your 4 cardinal points. And the way you do that is I'd explained it a little bit earlier, but you just fold it in half, make sure it's even, snip, snip, and then fold it in half again where you cut those snips. And then snip, snip. Do it for both of your circles. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do after we turn our bag inside out, we're going to take our zipper teeth, the center of our zipper teeth, and we are going to line those up with our seam here. Now the idea is that we need to get our side centers too, because we're going to match those up with the points that we cut on our circles. And you're going to do this with both sides. And before you ask, no, I don't cut the gusset. It does work. I don't know why I managed to do it or how I managed to do it, but I never have to cut the gusset. You're welcome to do it if you want to. So I'm going to take one. I'm going to take the top, match this with the center of the zipper teeth, match the bottom with the center seam, and then the landmark positions on the side. And then from here, I am just going to gently ease the sides to match. Just vinyl to vinyl. I like to do like, since I have it in quadrants, I'll line the centers up and then go, I guess it's best to, I'll line this up, I'll find the center first, and then kind of break it down from there. Find that next center, find the next center. And all I'm doing is lining the vinyl edges up. I have not, like I said, I have not had to cut the gusset to make this fit at all. But if you're finding yourself having to cut the gusset, please let me know so I can help you walk through this. This was measured so you wouldn't have to. And I'm sure you guys saw at the beginning of the video, one of the tools that I'm going to use, because when I'm doing curves like this, I do not like to sew with clips in place. I will actually just staple this down. It is 1,000 bajillion times easier, for me anyway, to do it that way. I'm just lining my edges up. And when I use my stapler, I'm just going to go and staple just the 1/8 of an inch in, because I'm going to stitch at 1/4 of an inch in. And this is what I'm going to use. So let's go ahead and do it. So I'm going to get this started. I'm going to back stitch at the beginning and the end, and I will be taking my time, as this is all a giant curve, and I'm going to be gently just pressing fabric out of the way so it's not getting caught. We don't want any puckers, so I'm just going to be taking my time and moving fabric out of the way. Alright, with the staples removed, we're going to get our binding. This binding I got off of Amazon. You get about 55 yards. It's 1/2 inch. It's really nice. They had a couple different colors. I typically use black, but there was white and red and teal. I've got the white and the teal in order, so definitely highly recommend if you like to buy in bulk like I do. I'm going to just line up the seam right there. And then I'm just going to go around the circle. And now I'm going to top stitch this down all the way, just taking my time. Alright, and there we go. Now we're going to do it again for the other side. Alright, once I've got these all nice and clipped like this, I'm going to go ahead and staple like I did the other side. But I will pause it so you don't have to watch me staple. Alright, I've got mine all stapled. Now I'm going to stitch this together at 1/4 inch, just like I did its sibling. I may run out of thread. Alright, now I'm going to pull my staples out so we can bind it. Alright, so now I'm going to bind it, just like we did the other side. And now we're ready to sew. From this point on, I'm going to go ahead and turn the bag so that we can move on and attach our handles. Well, congratulations, you're about done with this bag. It's looking really good. I put that one on upside down, but that's okay. That one is on, so it's looking really good. We got our rings, got our zipper tape. She's a nice, sassy barrel bag. So we got to get our handles ready, and in order to do that, we've got to make some marks so we can make some hole punches. All right, so the first marks need to be in the center at 3/8. All right, and then the second mark needs to be up at 1 inch. Okay, then we need to do 2 1/4, 2 1/4. And then we need to do 2.78. So 3/8, 1 inch, 2 1/4, and 2 7/8. And you're going to do that for both sides. 3/8, 1 inch, 2 1/4, 2 7/8. I'm just going to make holes. Awesome. So that's one side. And then you're going to duplicate that on the other handle. So okay. Now you are going to feed this through the hoop with the short end up like this, and I like to go ahead and stick my rivet through like this, and then I can just line the holes up and push the rivet through this way. Okay, then I can put the cap on. And then push the other rivet in. Come on. Put that cap on. Alright, then I'm going to feed this in through like this. But just like we did on the other side, I'm going to push my rivet through, and then line up my holes. Put my cap on, line up my holes, put my cap on, and then I'm going to go ahead and use my cam press, and I'm going to set these rivets. so then we can move on to the other handle. All right, one side done. Let's move that out of the way. And now we're going to do the exact same thing.
Daddy needs you.
So I realized I wasn't even recording, so I did exactly like I did with the other. I just threaded the rivets. I'm getting ready to set them. And just like that, your autumn bag is done. So this has been a lot of fun going through and sewing this bag. Again, this bag was named after my daughter, 100% sassy, and I think you will be sassy carrying a bag just like this. It is a phenomenal bag. It is customizable. If you don't want to have the rings, if you just want it to be a toiletry bag, or if you want to have it as a crossbody 2.0, it's totally there for you. It is a fantastic bag. It carries a lot, and it was a lot of fun. So I can't wait to see your goodies. So make sure on the K&A Facebook page that you're tagging myself, Nefarious, Desiree, Danielle, Kim, and Alex on all your goodies, because we want to see all your makes. So for now, ta-ta, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.